Tonight on the Northwestern News Report, acknowledging an atrocity, the NU community remembers the Sand Creek Massacre.
Plus, a high-energy project could bring Northwestern to the forefront of renewable power sources.
And know your H2O. Is climate change making Lake Michigan rise?
Those stories and more tonight on the Northwestern News Report.
It's your news right now.
Good evening and welcome to the Northwestern News Report. I'm Rupa Pala.
And I'm Megan Leibowitz. We begin tonight with the 6th annual Northwestern Sand Creek Massacre commemoration. Over the weekend, members of the Northwestern community joined descendants of survivors of the Sand Creek Massacre to commemorate the mass killing. Estimates say approximately 150 to 200 Cheyenne and Arapaho people were murdered in the Colorado Territory during an attack by United States soldiers in 1864. The commemoration allows communities to reflect on the past and look toward the future. Communities remember and honor the Cheyenne and Arapaho lives taken by U.S. forces many years ago.
To make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Reflecting with songs, readings.
We remember our babies who died with a soft, pulpy squish of bayonets.
And speeches.
History told from the Indian perspective conflicts with what most mainstream history tells us.
Northwestern has a personal connection with the Sand Creek Massacre. John Evans, one of the founders of NU, was also the governor of the Colorado Territory and ex officio superintendent of Indian Affairs during the massacre.
I've seen efforts on part of students, on part of the university, to really think about Northwestern's history.
A study by NU concluded that although there isn't evidence to determine that Evans helped plan the massacre or even knew of it in advance, he helped create a situation that made the massacre possible.
I think the events of the Sand Creek Massacre were so horrific, and we as a Northwestern community have to acknowledge that our founder played a role in that.
A University of Denver study goes further in indicting Evans, saying he, quote, authorized the kind of indiscriminate violence against Native people that would invariably lead to the slaughter of non-combatants. University of Denver was also founded by Evans. Descendants of survivors of the massacre see the commemoration as a means to spark discussions about the future, while remembering the atrocities of the past. Northwestern will be offering a minor in Native American and Indigenous Studies starting next school year.
2 Northwestern trustees have made a $10 million gift to advance research at NU. The gift will help fund the Kimberly K. Query and Lewis A. Simpson Institute for Bioelectronics. The institute will be home to NU Center for Biointegrated Electronics and encourage the development of biocompatible technologies for the human body.
An article in the Wall Street Journal published earlier this month reported elite universities, including Northwestern, allegedly have an arrangement with the College Board that may be lowering admissions rates. The report describes how schools like Northwestern use the College Board's data to target students with low test scores in order to encourage them to apply. When they don't get in, the school's acceptance rate drops. In a statement on behalf of the university, spokesperson John Yates said in part, quote, our admissions procedures are based on a holistic approach that takes many factors into account. We also recruit an increasingly diverse class, including Pell Grant eligible students and first-generation students. The data research referenced is only part of this process. NNN's Justin Sweetwood has more with this week's Money Minute.
Thanks, Megan. And for this week's Money Minute, we're going to take a deep dive into this very issue. From 2002 to 2017, the Northwestern acceptance rate dropped 73%, while the number of admitted students fell 28%. Both coincided with a 166% increase in total applicants. But this trend is not unique to just Evanston. From 2007 to 2017, the amount of freshmen applying to 7 or more schools nearly doubled. And the facilitator here has without a doubt been the College Board. It sells a list of student names and their complete backgrounds for 47 cents a pop. Backgrounds includes ethnicities, parental education, and approximate test scores. 2 to 2.5 million names are sold each year, and while Northwestern declined to disclose how many names it buys, others did. Vanderbilt bought 100 to 200,000 names last year, while Tulane bought 300,000, and the latter has seen its applicant pool rise nearly 175% from 2002 to 2017. And here's how the situation turns into an infinite loop. If more students are being led on to apply to elite universities, they'll pay the $65 to take the SAT again to get a better score. And after that comes the fees of sending those scores to schools, followed by the costs of actually applying. And while students' wallets are emptying, the College Board and schools across the country are laughing their way to the bank. Rupa?
Evanston has already seen temperatures in the teens, and as we approach winter, low temperatures can become a safety hazard. NNN's Chloe Cope tells us where people who experience homelessness in Evanston can find warmth.
For many, the early onset cold that came to Evanston this year was simply a bother. But for those who live on the streets, the chilling temperatures pose a real danger.
It gets dangerously cold. That's really uncomfortable and unsafe.
This year, Interfaith Action of Evanston has the resources to open daily overnight shelters from November through March.
Everybody should have a roof over their head every night. We all have our issues, I've got my own problems. However, I know where I'm going to sleep tonight.
The organization relies on its volunteers and various religious centers in the community to set up and provide spaces for the shelters each night. But the warming shelters have limited spots. Not everyone who needs a warm place to stay can find one every night.
We will this year, I'm afraid, have to turn people away. Last year, because it was new being open toward the end of the season, we didn't exceed that very often. So we just need more. And I mean, if our capacity was 50, we'd probably have 60 people. So it's really an issue.
But the impact of Interfaith's work extends far beyond a need for warmth or shelter.
In many places, people who are homeless are just called homeless people. In Evanston, they call themselves a homeless community, and they really care for each other. So I think we need to work for it to become an Evanston community, that we can get rid of the word homeless and all be part of one community caring for each other.
Offering warmth to a community in need. Chloe Cope, Northwestern News Network.
If students want to get involved, Interfaith Action says they can use help setting up or cleaning up the overnight shelter. Visit the website on your screen, interfaithactionofevanston.org, for more information.
Winter at Northwestern may mean shorter days and sometimes increased stress. Northwestern services are shedding some light on the importance of self-care. NNN's Alex Chun has this illuminating story.
Winter is here, and we can expect shorter days, which means less sunlight.
School, stress, things like that. It's kind of like the perfect storm for people to start feeling not so great or not like themselves.
To battle seasonal affective disorder, Northwestern is offering white light therapy.
It can help people regain their normal circadian rhythm, because here in Chicago, once we get into those winter months, we're not getting as much sunlight.
According to Psychology Today, symptoms of seasonal affective disorder can include increased feelings of stress or anxiety, changes in school performance, or an irregular sleep schedule.
For light therapy, it's free for our students and members to come. You can drop in or call and make an appointment ahead of time, and you pretty much can relax back here. It's a nice space to study, do some homework while you're soaking up the light.
Located in the Wellness Suite at SPAC, students can either schedule appointments or drop in, and the service is totally free.
You can just have a seat. We usually provide like hot chocolate, tea, coffee.
Beyond the potential benefits of the white light therapy, there are benefits to taking time for yourself.
For a lot of people, even if they're not feeling the effects of the light, I think just taking that 15, 20, 25 minutes to kind of like reset for the rest of the day, specifically because it's supposed to be done in the morning. It's a nice time to sit down, maybe glance over notes, glance over homework, or really just relax.
With winter months and exams on their way, it's important to shine some light on some self-care. Alex Chun, Northwestern News Network.
And after the break, a new technology developed by Northwestern researchers gives new hope for renewable energy.
Here at Northwestern, we know that weather and climate are not the same thing. So after the break, we'll take a look at your 5-day weather forecast and how climate is affecting Lake Michigan.
At Northwestern, we're wildcats in every way.
and break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
If you walk along the lake, high waves and waters might catch your attention. NNN's Joey Safchik dives into why the lake is so tall and what it might mean for you.
Where I am right now used to be a dog beach full of sand, but now it's all covered in water. That's because Lake Michigan's water levels are at a 30-year high, but experts say that's totally normal. In Evanston come winter and high water. The highest waters, in fact, since 1986.
This is not new to us, the fact that we're going to have to deal with all of the different pros and cons that the lake offers us.
Northwestern Center for Water Research attributes this to the last few years being very rainy. But don't let this news dampen your day, because changing lake levels are natural.
That's nature doing its thing, and we're actually building in places maybe where we shouldn't be.
Right now, the lake stands very high at 581 feet. But just 6 years ago in 2013, the lake reached an all-time recorded low at 576 feet. Experts say these changes are not out of the ordinary.
I think that's simply due to variations, natural variations. It's really not predictable.
Aaron Packman, director of the Center for Water Research, wasn't available for an on-camera interview, but told NNN via email the net effect of climate change on lake levels is unclear, both in terms of heavy rain and evaporation. As for what the high H2O means for you,
I'm really sad right now. We're standing by what used to be the dog beach of Evanston. You know, you take a look at it, there is no beach left.
Tall waters aren't inherently a massive problem, but we should be prepared for flooding.
Talking about all of the ill effects of the rising lake levels, but we are incredibly lucky to not have any water access issues.
For now, time will tell if high lake levels will leave Evanston in murky waters. One proposed solution to the flooding problem is manufacturing green space on the lake fill. In other words, native plants that absorb water so it never reaches infrastructure. Now let's see if this week will bring more rain, making the lake even higher. Here's your 5-day weather forecast. The good news is you don't need to break out your umbrellas just yet, but you probably shouldn't be jumping into the lake either. Tomorrow will be mostly cloudy with a high of 45 and a low of 42. And after last week, that's going to feel like summer. Thursday, we're looking at a high of 50 and a low of 28. There is a 90% chance of rain, but don't let that dampen your spirits because the rest of the week is dry. Friday will be mostly sunny with a high of 36 and a low of 29. Winds could reach up to 10 miles per hour. Saturday will be partly cloudy, but not too cold. There will be a high of 41 and a low of 30. Sunday will be much of the same, a high of 42 and a low of 30. And looking beyond our regular 5-day forecast, rain isn't expected next Monday or Tuesday, so we're looking at smooth travels for Thanksgiving. And if you're staying here in Evanston, we're expecting rain on Turkey Day, but hopefully you'll be too full to notice. I'm Joey Safchik, and that's your weather forecast. Come rain or shine, we wish you a happy Thanksgiving and a good final season. Back to you on the desk.
Water research isn't the only work on campus looking at natural resources. I spoke to an NU researcher about a creative approach to generating electricity with renewable energy.
Here at Northwestern, a new form of energy is making waves. NU researchers discovered a unique way to generate electricity from moving water. How? With salt water and rust.
A very simple preparation method that allows us to convert energy from flowing water, salt water, ocean water, rainwater, over metal nanolayers.
Roughly 1/1000th of the thickness of saran wrap, these nanolayers are essential in generating electricity. The science behind the energy has to do with the motions of ions from salt water. As the saltwater droplet is moved across the nanolayer surface with positive and negative ions, the electrons are forced to come along.
One of the first ways you learn to think of current, right, is that it's moving electrons. And so for dragging electrons, we're creating current.
Researchers at the California Institute of Technology are collaborating with Northwestern researchers on the project. Caltech chemistry professor Thomas Miller says the nanolayers have promising levels of energy conversion efficiency.
One could even reach the sort of powers that would be needed to power a house, for example.
Geiger says the energy efficiency rating of his method beats other forms of renewable energy, like the solar panels above Kresge Hall.
And we are excited about many different directions it could go.
Geiger and Miller intend to continue their research by applying the energy transduction in a variety of different settings.
Geiger says he would like to have more mechanistic insights to build better energy converters by the end of the year. And since it's our last show of the quarter, we wanted to know how you're handling the cold weather.
So we asked you in this week's edition of Rock Talk.
Hi, I'm Rena Song, asking students about their plan to stay warm during winter.
Rock Talk.
How do you plan to stay warm during winter?
Oh, I definitely need to get a new winter coat. This is my warmest coat, but it's not like downlined or anything, so that's definitely the key factor, getting a nice warm coat, but I have to be careful because a lot of warm coats, not the cutest. And for me, it's very important that I maintain both of those things, even though it's really going to be cold out.
I just plan to mostly just wear more and I guess don't come outdoors if it's not necessary.
I guess just bundle up with a coat and some mittens and a hat. But it's always very cold here. I've lived here for 21 years, so.
I'm probably just layering up. I'm from California, so I guess it's harder for me, but just wearing thick jackets, wearing hats and scarves.
Well, I plan to stay inside as much as I can, and also, hats, gloves, warm winter coats.
So I'm a first year and I'm from California, so I don't know, it gets a lot colder. This is pretty cold for me, but I'm gonna go with layers, lots and lots of layers, and I guess we'll see how that works.
Rock Talk.
If you have an idea for a future Rock Talk topic, tweet us at nnn_news.
Coming up, a longtime Evanston business will be closing the book over 10 years of serving the community.
3 awesome wins and a devastating loss to talk about. I'm Jack Lito, and I'll have sports right after this.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Northwestern break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all the go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, spread for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
Wildcat football needed a win this Saturday against the University of Massachusetts, and to tell us how they did it, here's NNN's Jack Lito with sports.
Megan, Northwestern was in desperate need for a win at Ryan Field, and boy did they ever get it. Despite a nearly non-existent passing game, the Cats were dominant over the University of Massachusetts, winning by a score of 45-6. It's their largest margin of victory since 2 years ago today when they throttled Minnesota. Speaking of which, the Minnesota native Evan Hull had the day of his life, scoring 4 touchdowns and rushing for 220 yards. By far the best day an offensive player has had all year for the Cats. More good news on the Wildcats scoreboard. Men's basketball picked up win number 1 as they upset Providence 72-63. In his second career game, redshirt freshman Ryan Young scored a game-high 16 points and pulled down 7 rebounds. The Wildcat women beat the Duke Blue Devils in Cameron Indoor Stadium 63-42. Junior Lindsay Pulliam has been on fire lately. She scored 26 and was just placed on the Big Ten Weekly Honor Roll. Finally, the field hockey team lost a heartbreaker, a 2-1 final against Boston College, and the Cats are eliminated from the NCAA tournament, and their impressive season is over. That's going to do it for me, but we'll have more highlights and analysis this Thursday on Sports Night. Rupa, Megan, it's back to you two on the desk.
Evanston and Northwestern University have grown alongside each other since the late 19th century. So how does their relationship stack up today? NNN's Alex Moore has more.
A hop, skip, and a jump away from Chicago, you'll find north suburban Evanston. Home to around 75,000 full-time residents, Evanston also functions as a college town. Northwestern University and its nearly 8,500 undergraduate students are located in the city's northeast corner. Evanston residents and students live amongst each other in the neighborhoods surrounding the university. Northwestern archivist Kevin Leonard explains the history between the university and the city.
The relationship between Northwestern and the Evanston community has hit a little rough patch right now because of the issue over use of the athletic facilities for non-Northwestern events.
But these fights are nothing new. Back in the 1970s, the Chicago Bears caused problems when they wanted to play home games at Dyke Stadium. In the meantime, Evanston residents still have to deal with Northwestern home football games. Junior and Evanston native Wes Harrell has this to say.
It's definitely hard on Evanston residents with, tailgates and stuff going on weekends, and I know that Evanston residents definitely aren't happy about it, but Northwestern students aren't going to stop.
Northwestern officials and police recognize this problem and work to monitor off-campus neighborhoods on game days.
In the greater scheme of things, the relationship between Northwestern and Evanston as a community or Evanston city government is right now historically very good.
Tensions over hosting professional sports games and the noise that comes from off-campus parties, Evanston residents and Northwestern students are finally coming together as one. Alex Moore, Northwestern News Network.
A local bookshop is set to close its doors by the end of next month. NNN's Ashley Reed helps us say goodbye to Market Fresh Books before they close this chapter.
For 10 years, Market Fresh Books has sold Evanston a delicacy by the pound, books. Now, owners Susan and Paul Fisher are preparing to close the store by the end of 2019.
We're sad that we're closing. It's definitely not a joyous thing, and that we'll always have the 10 years that we have had the store and stories about the store.
Evanston residents are sad to see the doors close.
We're Evanston residents, and we have 4 children. Their friends talk about coming into Market Fresh Books. Their teachers talk about coming into Market Fresh Books. We also have parents of Northwestern students who, whenever they visit town, will come to our store.
The Frishers have decided to close shop to return to their former careers in real estate and law, respectively.
But we're definitely going to miss having the one-on-one, face-to-face with Evanston.
They attribute the store's longtime success to the strength of the Evanston area reading community.
Books are not going away. We found that people just really love holding books and having them. I attribute our success to that, just book lovers and people really liking the physical feel of a book and being able to pass it on to a friend.
The story is not over yet for Market Fresh Books. They're still seeking offers on the store in hopes of staying open under new ownership. Ashley Reed, Northwestern News Network.
As fall quarter comes to an end, students, especially those from out of the country, have gone a long time without food from home. But NNN's Jenny He shows us some downtown Evanston options for international cuisine.
I came to campus knowing that I would miss authentic Korean food, so cup ramen and packaged side dishes would be my go-tos. But why waste 2 minutes for the microwaves when there are plenty of options right off campus? I'm Korean, so my mom cooks at least 2 kimchi-involved dishes a day. My Korean friend Grace and I wanted to see how much Kokomo tasted like home. Kokomo sells classic Korean and Japanese foods for reasonable prices, and the portions are huge. We decided to order kimchi spam fried rice and tteok mandukguk, a Korean traditional dumpling soup. Bulgogi, seafood pancakes, bibimbap, and sundubu-jjigae are Kokomo's most popular dishes.
Obviously, house would be better, but this is pretty good.
I would recommend it.
Me too.
Joy noodle is a student favorite. Again, It's got cheap prices and giant portions. This time, my friend from Vietnam joined me in judging how authentic their foods tasted. We decided to order shrimp lo mein and a berry best freeze.
Joey is good insofar as it provides a lot of variety in its menu.
I would recommend. Since I can only fit so much food in my body, I had to save various other cuisines for next time. Jenny He, Northwestern News Network.
And stay tuned to see how Chicago and Evanston are celebrating the end of the year.
At Northwestern, we're wildcats in every way.
Northwestern, break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, spread for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go!
Well, this is our last show of the quarter, so we thought to end the show, we check out some of the fun end-of-year activities in Evanston and Chicago.
The city of Chicago is already getting ready for the holiday season. This Friday at 6, the city will light the Millennium Park Christmas tree. Also in Millennium Park is a free ice rink open to the public until March 8th. And if you make it downtown, consider checking out the Chris Kindle Market in Daly Plaza, featuring Christmas-themed treats from around the world.
And back on campus, final season is fast approaching. For anyone looking for a little holiday spirit to push them through studying, don't miss the Northwestern Jazz Orchestra and their event Bringin' the Holiday Swingin' on December 5th. And be sure to catch the exam relief breakfast end of quarter tradition in Norris on December 10th. So Rupa, what are you doing for this Thanksgiving break for holidays?
Well, I'm looking forward to going home, having a meal with my family, and just really catching up. What about you?
Nice. Yeah, I'm also going home for Thanksgiving, and I cannot wait to see my dog and, of course, the rest of my family. Hi, Mom. But I can't wait to see all of them and catch up with them, see them in person.
Absolutely. Well, we can't wait till that comes. That's all the time we have for tonight. I'm Rupa Pala.
And I'm Megan Leibowitz. For all of us here at NNN, good night, and thanks for watching.